Welcome to the Campground Catalyst Podcast, the show dedicated to fueling success in outdoor hospitality. Whether you're an outdoor adventurer, a campground owner, or looking to build your legacy in outdoor hospitality, you're right where you need to be. We're here to guide you through the fascinating world of campground management, unique real estate strategies, and the gratifying opportunities created by outdoor hospitality. Our mission is to inspire and equip you with the knowledge and insights you need to build a successful business and create a legacy worth leaving. The Campground Catalyst Podcast is proudly sponsored by Beyonder Camp, your trusted outdoor hospitality experts. Subscribe now, join our active online community, and let's ignite our passions and potential together. Welcome back to the Campground Catalyst Podcast. I'm your co-host, Adam Lundy, here today with Justin Hoggett and Don Spafford. Our co-host, Robert Earl, could not be with us today. He's on site on one of our campgrounds right now, hard at work. So how you guys doing?
Yeah, doing well.
All right. Well, very good. I'm going to be taking over the lead on Robert's segment today, which is another one of our Memory Makers segments for campground owners. We're going to be talking today about campground amenities. This is, I think, one of our favorite areas because really it's what we look at as our differentiator in the outdoor hospitality space at Beyonder. And we think it's what sets you apart from a trailer park, right?
Absolutely.
All right, very good.
Family-friendly atmosphere is what we're striving for.
Absolutely, indeed. So today we're going to be talking about the best amenities, the things that get people out of the campers, get them into the campgrounds, but most importantly, keep them coming back with their friends, because obviously that's really what our goal is at the end of the day here. Let's get a poll around first. I want to know what your guys' favorite campground amenities are, and then of course, if you want to maybe subdivide that out into what your favorite is versus your kids, so on and so forth.
Ooh, that's dangerous.
Yep.
Don, you got something? What do you got?
Until Adam's second comment there, I don't know, but I was thinking, it may depend on where you're at. Warm areas, obviously, the aqua parks, swimming pools, that kind of stuff, with all the fun water activities. That's all great. I've actually seen some that have, maybe like, I don't call them maybe more adult activities, like paintball shooting or that kind of stuff, just to be active and having fun. That could be exciting.
Yeah.
Well, for me, kind of like you said, Don, it depends, right? I mean, what is my mood? I mean, the bar, that's pretty enticing sometimes. I'll tell you, our drunken minnow, that's a lot of fun, and live music. So kind of all combines together as one, amenity in a sense, having the music and an opportunity to just hang out. But, the pool, always a kid favorite. I mean, I can just send the kids and say, go get out of here, get wet, and it leaves me alone. Big benefit. And then, kind of with that, golf carts, it kind of sounds silly to say, but, I think I could keep my kids occupied for days on a golf cart, and they're just fun, just a little bit driving around and stirring up dust. Definitely one of those things that you can also let them have fun with, and they'll just keep going, and smiles galore, right? But we getting the blood flowing. We've got some pretty significant opportunities with boating, and that's always been something I've thrived on growing up and definitely enjoy moving forward. So get me out on the water. I'm having a great time.
Yeah, but the first thing you mentioned was the drunken minnow. And by the way, Justin has done the minnow shot twice. And for listeners who have not been to our bar at our marina on Truman Lake, the minnow shot is literally that you take a live minnow, you put it in alcohol and down the hatch. Justin's done this 2 times. You get a T-shirt, and I think he just likes it for more than the T-shirt.
It's a good promo, I think. Yes, it's
yeah.
The kids love it. They even did it with lemonade. So yeah.
I'll tell you what, too, you put them in tequila and the fish goes to sleep down the hatch. You put it in Sprite or lemonade, the fish gets angry.
I'm not sure why people do that.
I have no idea.
I prefer dead.
Yeah.
It's like a pill. It's not that big.
I know. Otherwise, it's trying to get out of your mouth. All right. Very good. All right. For me, I'm going to go to my personal favorite amenity, and this has become a staple in all of our campgrounds, is the community fire pit. That's really where the magic happens, getting everybody around the fire, circled up for, evening conversations. It's where you make friends. It's where you split a drink with somebody and just share stories about your travels and about your day. So I'm a big fan of the community fire pit. I'd say I'd agree with Justin that for the kids, the swimming pool is definitely a hot one. We've seen the effect of not having a swimming pool at a campground and what a difference that can make. So I think having some kind of water attracts people. It goes back to the boats and everything else. Those are great income or revenue generating amenities, as we call them. We have some indirect revenue generating amenities that I like the community campfire. So, at Beyonder, when we're looking at a campground and the amenities it has and the ones we want to add, we always put them in those two buckets. Is this one going to have a direct effect on the revenue, something I can measure on the P&L? It's going to have a line for it, or is it going to be something where it'll probably affect the revenue, but not in a way that you can directly measure. Putting it in a community fire pit, you're not charging admission for it. So, it's really hard to see the actual direct effect, except that, maybe the person that comes back more often because of that. So, let me ask you guys, what's been our favorite revenue generating amenity?
Favorite or like most popular from the guests? I mean,
yeah, well, exactly. Either the most popular or just the one that you think has been the biggest bang for the buck in our portfolio.
That's a tough one. There's a lot of different things there too as well. But as we mentioned, the boating, I mean, that brings in people for longer stays. We have family get-togethers and reunions and whatnot, but probably the biggest one really is our haunted house, and that's one of those. I call it a loss leader in the sense that we do charge admission for it. We have outside people come in and go to the haunted house, but I'll tell you what, I never thought that the October weekends would be 100% full and packed in a Midwestern climate, which it starts to get a little bit chilly during the weekend. So that amenity alone, the whole Halloween aspect, I suppose it's more than just one thing, but that amenity alone attracts a lot of people.
Interesting pick. Don, what about you?
I agree. I wouldn't even have thought about that one, but that I think is one of our unique ones for sure. That you're not going to find a lot of places. Boy, that's a great question. I honestly don't know. But I'd almost kind of want to fall back on what Justin mentioned before for his one of his favorite things was the golf carts. I mean, those are they ever not fully rented out? I mean, they're popular. People want them, and I think to Justin's point, if you come out of the bar and you drive the golf cart to your RV, is that considered drunk driving? I don't know, but
yes, it is.
Maybe the time you're kind of can maybe get away with it for a bit, but. Or have another designated driver, I guess. But yeah, those are obviously popular and people love them. They're lots of fun just to get around, and I don't know if it's because people are lazy or just they're fun to drive. I don't know, but maybe a bit of both. But those tend to, of course, I think provide a decent return on investment for those.
Yes, we don't advocate for drunk driving golf carts. Get a DD, even if it's your kids. You're going to be in a lot better shape. Don, I'm going to agree with you to some regard. I think vehicle rentals in general, I'm going to say, have been one of our best revenue generators from our amenities. It's one of those things that keeps people coming back. You mentioned the golf carts. We can't seem to buy enough golf carts at our campgrounds. It doesn't matter how many we seem to add. We haven't found the limit to where they stop renting yet. And I don't want to necessarily. I don't want to have them sitting around. It's great to see them all moving. But then, Justin mentioned earlier, too, the boat rentals. Boat and watercraft have been huge for us. If you've got a property that's the right fit for it, you've got a big enough lake or, some other body of water that you're on, and having the ability to put some boats out there you can rent, or jet skis, even though they're incredibly difficult to properly insure, can be a super great revenue generator. And I think, probably some of our best, right next to those golf carts.
Yeah, and I guess the best part about all this, of course, we mentioned before, is imagination is our only limitation on a lot of this, right? And amenities galore. I mean, we have seen this growth in the campground industry in general, is that people are looking for entertainment when they go places. They're not just looking to go and park. Of course, there's the exceptions to the rule. If you're on the road and you're just going to one place to the other and you need a spot, okay, great. But that's our model is definitely a little bit amenity and activity focused, and the amenities can vary widely. We have properties with a ropes course, horses, beaches. One of the main revenue drivers really is water in general. We mentioned the pool, the beach is another one. Just getting people out on the water. In these hotter climates especially. But again, the kids, right? What are we all going to do as a family, and how can we all congregate? And we can, the pool is split half and half. I've been in multiple situations where the adults are in one corner and kids are in another, splashing and having a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing to consider too is there really even we call them direct and indirect revenue generators, but even those ones that are direct revenue generators have an indirect effect on your camping revenue as well too. I mean, that's something to consider, is that if you have a low amenity campground, people aren't going to be inclined to stay for maybe more than 1 to 3 nights at the most. But if you have so much stuff that people can't pack it into a short visit, they're going to be inclined to make longer visits, likely return more often. You have something like Wibbits. Wibbits have been a fantastic amenity, just having those floating aqua parks and the ability to get people out in the water. I mean, kids could go out there day after day after day and keep playing in those, and it'll keep them asking to come back to that campground, or extending that visit out there. So, it's certainly worth considering putting these amenities in. However, there is a balance, and that's something I want to discuss, because we've seen this in our own campgrounds and how you stack your amenities and staff your amenities. And that's, I think, the biggest consideration is, Justin, you mentioned our ropes course and our horses, and that has become a challenge, with really how do you set up your schedule to staff these events, because they need people who are trained, specialized training on those, for example. And you'll get the same thing if you have zip lines. You're going to get the same thing if you have, a climbing wall or anything like that that requires people to have specialized training. Those people cost money, and you can't have them sitting around on their hands all day, every day, just in case somebody drops in. So, what's the strategy we've employed to work around
that? Having people cross-trained. What else are they going to be able to do while they're at the property? And a lot of times it's scheduling as well, right? We open up on the weekends, specific hours. We take reservations. We try to allow people to be flexible with us. I'll say, we might have 4 hours on a Saturday be our ropes course, and then followed by horses. So it's just a lot of scheduling opportunity. But again, cross training we found is key. And we try to instill that with everyone. If you can do the horses, you're going to probably also clean the bathrooms at some point, right? And top down all the way.
Yeah, I agree. If you got somebody who's a climbing guide, for example, for a rock climbing wall you got at your property, and that's all they do, you're either going to be paying them too much, or you're not going to be able to staff them often enough to keep the amenity open. But Justin, like you mentioned, spot on. If they can be picking up the phone and checking guests in when they're not running their amenity, then yeah, 100% makes it worthwhile. But yeah, the scheduling is going to be what I was really hitting on there, is, just making it an expectation with your guests that those amenities aren't available 100% of the time on demand. That they're available at peak demand times, be that, evenings, weekends, whatever the case is, early mornings, whatever you need to do to properly schedule those things. But any amenity that requires staffing is also probably going to require considerable budget for maintenance and upkeep, especially when we're talking these things that have safety equipment involved in them. So, your ropes courses, you have to have them inspected and certified and things like that. So, if we were building a brand new campground from the ground up right now and putting all these amenities in we wanted, or if we were maybe a campground owner that already had a campground that was looking to add some of these, what would be some of the things we would consider as it pertains to budgeting and forecasting for these possible amenities, especially these ones that require, additional upkeep and ongoing staffing needs?
Well, to jump in there, it's hard. It's hard to know how much space you have. How much money do you have, right? I mean, what is your entire budget? But from the bottom down to up would be maybe a Gaga ball court, right? I mean, what are we, $800, $1,500 max? I can't remember how much exactly those are, but a relatively inexpensive amenity for the kids, and it's been a hit at every property. Basketball court, it could be another one, just putting a slab of concrete. Concrete prices have gone way up too, but there's opportunities to just increase slowly. But if you have a master plan, and which is advisable on some of these new campgrounds or expansion projects, to have a good master plan on where things are going and what you're planning to put in, and include that in your total budget. But in the end, the most important that we found is a pool. So if you can make sure that's part of your plan and budget, plan on $250,000 probably on a decent sized pool there at a property. But something well worth it, and will help the property also on the resale side.
Yeah. Dom, what do you think?
Well, I mean, Justin pretty much covered it pretty good there. But obviously, as you were saying before, is the staffing issues is of course going to be a major component. If something that's going to require special training, or if it's just something where you know one person kind of covers several things. Like a gaga ball pit or a pickleball court doesn't really require a whole lot of oversight. Kind of someone to make sure they clean up or return the paddles or balls or whatever. But that's very minimal thing, so you can get away with one person covering several things versus your specialized training required for certain events. So that should definitely be a part of it. To know that if you've got the revenue, sufficient revenue to kind of cover that additional staffing that needs possibly, and potentially additional insurance that you may need to cover for some of those things like a ropes course or something where somebody get injured.
Yeah, and I'm glad you went back to the insurance again. That's something that I think is often overlooked in our industry in general. We see this all the time when we're going in to look at a new campground that we're underwriting. Typically, I can tell you right up front just by looking at how much they spend on insurance on their P&L, whether they're properly insured or not, because we don't have a property in our portfolio that we insure for less than about $25,000 or $30,000 a year. That's on the low end. On the high end, I think we're up around $130,000 a year in insurance. And we've got granted, we might go a little higher on some of our coverages than a lot of people do, but we've got some extra obligations that we have to make sure we're protecting our interests on. But, a good example is when we inherited jet skis last year. That was new for us. We already had boats. I thought it was going to be the same thing. I had no idea how much harder those things would be to insure. And in talking with our broker about it, she shopped it around to numerous carriers and was only able to find one that would insure the jet skis. And they had rigorous requirements that I've never seen from a jet ski rental place before. We have to have a training and safety video people watch and a form people initial and acknowledge. They're required to wear wetsuits when they get on them because of things like the induction on the jet ski can suck body parts in. So anyway, it's all kinds of crazy stuff that you have to consider. And I asked her, I said, there's jet ski places all the time. You can jump on in a pair of board shorts and they'll just let you go. And she says, well, they're probably not insured, because she hasn't been able to find a carrier that could cover us with less requirements than this one. Obviously, a big consideration making sure that if we do have these major risk centers that you're properly insured, because you might make great money off of those jet skis that don't have right insurance, but you have one injury or fatality, and then all that profit and then some is gone.
Right. And I'll say signing a waiver is not enough. You might think you can have them sign a waiver, then you're good. But no, that's sort of like a basic first line defense. But people can still sue you even if they sign a waiver. Really, the waiver is just really nothing other than a preventative measure, but it won't stop you from getting sued.
Right. And I agree with that. So how about growing amenities? Again, I kind of hit with the last question on somebody building a new park, what you might add in. But let's just say you're that basic campground that's got, playground for the kids, the gaga ball, these passive amenities that don't really require anybody to administer. A lifeguard, a swimming pool with no lifeguards, some of those basics. I know there's no one shot, solution for every park in the country, but like what would be the next thing we'd add? If we were sitting around looking at it right now, family campground, all ages.
Well, I mean, other than the pool, which of course Justin already mentioned, that's pretty much essential. So other than a pool, if you're looking at besides that, it's a good question. What would be next?
Well, I can answer what we've already done, and pickleball has been one of our top ones, and just generally volleyball. Horseshoes, just some of the standard staples at some of the parks that get used kind of day in and day out. Right.
And there's some creative revenue centers in there too with pickleball, for example. You could charge for renting the court. Most places don't. I know we don't. But the opportunity really comes down. You can retail sell the paddles, retail sell the balls. Things that people might need to go out and play if they didn't want to use the community paddles, so to speak. So there's definitely some opportunity there. And you're hitting on some of the great ones that don't require extra staffing. So if you're somebody who has trouble finding people to run things, you maybe in a small town with a small staffing pool, those would be the greatest solutions for you there. Again, the rentals, the golf carts, the rental bikes, e-bikes, things like that could be great next. How about if staffing weren't an issue? What would be the next one you'd add?
Water park. Those are fun.
Water parks are huge.
Yep.
Yeah. Absolutely. But now we have a water park that we currently operate. The staffing on it is next level though. Once you get past the limits of where your insurance will let you have a lifeguardless pool, you now have many, many lifeguards, and a lot of them are young, and you have to overstaff to plan for no-shows and
training.
Things that matter, the training.
CPRs and lifeguards, and yeah, it's a very dynamic staffing challenge for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I think the core tenet here out of anything is you got to have amenities if you want to keep people coming back. If you want to have them come back with your friends, extend their stays, it's going to have an impact on your revenue beyond just the income that those things might generate. Any final thoughts today, guys, before we wrap this one up?
Just a kind of a shout out to all the owners out there. Being creative again is key. I think we've been to a lot of different properties, right? And they're all different, which is part of the amazing part about campgrounds in general. Being creative. If you don't have really any money, that's fine too, right? Put a cornhole set out. Yes, that's a little bit of money perhaps, but walking paths. Just the general. We've seen benches watching sunsets. Just general campground experiences is important. It doesn't require a huge upgrade in a sense. So just being creative.
Yeah.
I would say, even some simple things like having a dog park or a dog washing station, something like that as well, just to attract people that want to come to your campground that have their pets that want to bring along. And also, I'd say consider nightly activities besides just all the stuff during the day, like the aqua parks and all that kind of stuff are fun when the sun's out. But something to keep people entertained at night as well. I mean, you can have like a movie night, get one of those big inflatable projection screens, and that's not going to cost a whole lot of money, and they can put on some movie nights or something, and maybe have some some dance parties or something. Bring a DJ, hire out, and come on special weekends or something. So just these fun something is to get people to come out and have fun. That's kind of the whole idea. People want to have fun, and if your property has the place that's the fun spot to go, then they're going to come there.
That's right. And if you're listening and you own a campground and you have a really awesome, unique, creative amenity that nobody else has and we haven't mentioned here today, we'd love to hear about it. So feel free to share it with us either on our social media channels, Campground Catalyst, through the Patreon channel for Campground Catalyst, or like I said, if it's something you think would be show worthy, you can reach out to us directly, podcast@beyondercamp.com, to get it on the air with us.
That's right.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us.
Subscribe and comment with your ideas below too.
That's right. It's been another episode of Campground Catalyst.
All right. See you guys.
See ya.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Campground Catalyst Podcast, where we take you behind the scenes in the fun and gratifying world of outdoor hospitality. We hope you were inspired by today's show and better equipped to take the next steps in your journey. Remember, you can continue the conversation and connect with fellow enthusiasts by visiting our website and joining the Campground Catalyst community on Patreon at campgroundcatalyst.com. There, Patreon members get exclusive access to special listener perks, they get their opportunity to engage with the host, and they get their questions answered on one of our future upcoming shows. The Campground Catalyst Podcast is proudly sponsored by Beyonder Camp, your trusted partner in fueling your success in outdoor hospitality. Until next time, keep both your campfires and your passions burning.